Cancers, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for September 12th through the 18th of 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so Cancer this week, another very powerful week in September. We've got a lunar eclipse taking place in your 9th house. So this is the house of adventure. It's the house of open-mindedness, seeing the open horizons. It could be externally, such as through travel and things like that, or internally with philosophy and our belief systems. And that's really a fundamental way of looking at the 9th house. It's our worldview. It's our perspective of life. So there's been a lot of old energies being released regarding this perspective, this worldview, and quite possibly your belief systems over the past roughly couple years, which has been the South Node transiting that 9th house of yours. So now we have the final lunar eclipse taking place here in this 9th house from over the past couple years, signifying a sort of culmination now in this awareness of what some things are working for you in this department, what has been cultivated over these past couple years that has to do with your belief system, that has to do with your perspective on life, and at the same time, what's not working. What are some old belief systems that you can let go of, or some old things quite literally that have to do with the adventurous spirit or open-mindedness. So it's a good time during the full moon to evaluate this, to do this status check, let go of what's not working so you can continue to cultivate what is. Now, the lunar eclipse is going to be collectively challenging, as it has been this whole solar eclipse cycle, which is forming a T-square up to Mars and opposing up to Mercury retrograde and conjoining up to Chiron. So this lunar eclipse, in terms of this Chiron energy, first of all, is that it's quite healing. I think there's going to be a lot of things brought to the surface for healing. It's not necessarily challenging because it's a neutral conjunction, but certainly some things here coming to the forefront. Maybe some wounds, maybe some insecurities, some doubts, some inner wounds that have to do with our perspective, our belief system, our worldview. So as they come to the surface, it's about being aware of them and accepting them, and it's really through the acceptance process that the transformation occurs. And with that, the square up to Mars can suggest that maybe there is a bit of directness, a bit of tension, maybe a bit of rashness having to do with your self-expression, maybe wanting to express yourself, verbally, but it could be maybe projects. It could be things that you're intent on, doing or creating this week. So all week with this square up to Mars, I think it's a good time to bring extra attention to the self, to the ego, to make sure everything is nice and balanced there with the things you want and your personal needs, so they're not, taken to an extreme. Now, Mercury retrograde opposing up to this lunar eclipse is suggesting that there's now this reconsideration about your life path, or about the things that you might be implementing towards that life path. And that's been the fact that this whole cycle, this whole solar eclipse cycle, has been pulling you towards your self-reliance, which is the 2nd house. It's about cultivating your inner resources, which is about your sense of self-worth, your confidence, your ability to go after the things you value in life, and also about cultivating those values externally, such as through finances, outer resources, material enjoyments. So this is where your life path is taking you, and this is a great place for you to focus your energy and put energy into your life. But with Mercury retrograde, there's this reconsideration. So it's just good to be adaptive right now with all of that, to reconsider some things, to change some things, edit, modify, right? This is the theme with Mercury now retrograde, very close to this North Node in your 2nd house. In fact, at the beginning of the week, before we have the lunar eclipse, we're going to have Mercury retrograde over the Sun. So we've got the lunar eclipse, which will be here around Friday, which will be the high point of the week, that awareness point, status check for transformation with those belief systems. But as we approach that, there is this shift taking place with, again, the life path reconsideration there. And when it comes to the Sun, maybe some things you've learned over the past 30 days, or some things you've been focusing on over the past 30 days regarding that resource sector that you could be modifying. Now, it is going to be squaring up to Mars, that conjunction. So again, all week long, I think it's good to have that extra tension with the self and that self-expression. Now, that's the early part of the week. I do want to say, too, that around the lunar eclipse, the sun is going to be shifting into Virgo, your third house. So there is this definitive shift towards continuing to focus on learning, reading, writing, sharing, communicating, maybe doing some exchanging. Some of it could be community, some of it could be business for some of you. Been a lot of good energy here with this. Jupiter has recently shifted into your third house these past couple weeks. Now for the next year and a half, plenty of opportunities here for you to get into this mental and communicative side of your life. Not to mention, too, Venus is here helping you enjoy it. So the sun shifting into here, suggesting now a new focus where you can certainly gain energy through learning, gain energy through sharing, communicating, whatever else kind of trading you might be doing there. So this will be down the road. This will be the area of the new moon, which will be in about 2 weeks, but certainly a shift to focus. All right, so that's the middle of the week. Now, as we go into the weekend, Mars is going to be trining up to Uranus, suggesting a bit of perhaps freedom over the weekend, maybe a freedom of that self-expression, which has been under more of the tenser aspects during the work week. So maybe a bit of liberation there with that, which is quite nice to have this harmonious aspect. A lot of this has been Uranus in your ninth house, helping you see the freedom of adventure, the freedom of your belief systems, of changing them, and that being in alignment with your true self. So the true self is certainly emphasized over the weekend collectively. I think balance will be important. It will be opposing up to Venus over the weekend. So long as we're not going to any extremes with just the ninth house, of just the possibilities, of just the manifestation, belief systems, and perspective, we want to stay grounded in the everyday sphere, in what's practical, in what's real, in what's tangible. And I think with that balance, it can be a great weekend for both. Maybe a bit of that, again, learning, which can be enjoyable, while at the same time, that open-mindedness. All right, so that's the week in a nutshell. Definitely an emphasis on the lunar eclipse, which is in that ninth house, the status check of your belief systems, of what's possible in life, inner and outer. Maybe some healing taking place with that. The square up to Mars suggesting a bit of extra tension here on the self to keep things nice and grounded. And Mercury retrograde, reconsidering now some of these inner and outer resources and how you can cultivate these natural gifts that you have, really, and maybe change some things so you can continue to cultivate those values of yours. All right, so Cancer, have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.